Okay, I think we have the majority of everyone with us. Thank you so much for taking your time to spend an hour with the D'Amore-McKim parent community. We are very happy to be able to be together virtually. I invite you to introduce yourself in the chat box by sending your first and last name, your email address, and your hometown. If you would like to send a question during this session, please do so in that chat box. And please let us know if you are a current parent or an admitted parent, and please include your email when you put in your question. We are very lucky to have Dunton Family Dean of the D'Amore-McKim School of Business, Raj Echambadi, with us here today, and Rick LeBlanc, President and CEO of NELCO Worldwide, a Northeastern alum, and our favorite part, a current parent of a D'Amore-McKim student who took part in NUN. I will now hand it over to Dean Echambadi to give us some thoughts, and then Rick LeBlanc will give us some thoughts, and we'll be able to then move on to our question and answer session.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Greetings to all of you. I want to first and foremost welcome all of you, our current parents who are already part of our community, and to the admitted parents. Thank you for thinking of Northeastern as an educational destination. What I thought I'll do is to address the past, present, and future as it relates to the current situation. First and foremost, I want to assure all of you that health and safety of our students is our #1 priority. So everything that we are doing, everything that we have done in the last 2 or 3 months as it relates to the COVID-19 crisis has been placing public health as our topmost priority. And as you probably know, one of the professors at Northeastern, Professor Alex Vespignani, is actually on the White House task force and advising the White House on how to combat and flatten the curve with coronavirus. So Professor Vespignani has been very informative for us in terms of tracking the virus and enabling us to develop contingency plans. We moved very quickly to move to remote teaching, and so I would say we have met this crisis with a lot of resolve. Before I get into the present and the future, I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about my past. Before I became dean, I was a faculty member, and my predominant area was innovation. And whenever a structural break like this happens, be it the SARS epidemic in 2002, or the global recession in 2008, or what we are facing with the COVID-19 pandemic right now, there are transformations in the society. Some things go back to normal. After all, we are social animals, but some things change. But in 2002, after the SARS crisis, you will see that e-commerce took off in Asia and Alibaba became a global giant. In 2008, 2009, after the global recession, we started indulging in sharing economy, and you saw Airbnb, Lyft, and Uber becoming global companies. In the same way, I personally feel while the cost is very real and it is devastating to some segments at this point in time, in the long run, given the fact that there is going to be an emphasis on remote learning, remote working, and the formation of virtual communities. And as far as D'Amore-McKim is concerned, we have actually been focused on what we call as digital convergence for the last couple of years. Digital convergence to us is the seamless integration of the physical and the digital world. When you have Amazon.com and Amazon Go stores, or when you have Walmart and Walmart.com, and this has paradigm changes. And the bottom line is that we feel, given the fact that our curricular philosophy has changed over the last 2 years to accommodate this digital convergence, we are well equipped to meet the future of work. And And as far as the present is concerned, our summer 1 and summer 2 sessions are going to be online. We expect to go to a physical meeting, face-to-face meeting in the fall. Of course, as I said before, public health is our number 1 priority. Students' health is our number 1 priority. We are listening to the government and health officials on what is the appropriate way in order to accommodate students, faculty, and staff that come back to campus. And there are, when you think about it, 2 broad options. One, you can actually go completely online, or the other one is have face-to-face instruction with appropriate social distancing guidelines. But the bottom line is we are testing all possible scenarios. We are planning for all possible contingencies and contingencies to contingencies, you know. Now I want to talk a little bit about our online teaching. In March, when we had to move suddenly to remote teaching, I think our faculty and staff adjusted, and our students, I have to give kudos to them, adjusted to the new normal very well. But we are aware that our online teaching capabilities have to be ramped up. So we are working very hard in terms of ramping up the online learning infrastructure, even if you have social distancing, even if you have face-to-face instruction, the social distancing is going to require some sort of hybrid teaching, and we are getting prepared for that. And one thing I want to remind parents is that D'Amore-McKim has been a pioneer in online instruction. We started the first online MBA. We were one of the first in 2006. So we have some exciting elements in the work. We are thinking about new programs, NU Start, and we are thinking about how do we incorporate these virtual communities and experiential learning online into our rigorous classroom instruction, if you will, so that we provide the utmost value for our students so that they can continue their education without interruption. And of course, we are building a very robust community of support. We always had phenomenal academic advisors and co-op advisors and faculty and staff who actually complemented our students. But right now we are investing very heavily in terms of virtual infrastructure so that the quality of engagement with our advisors, that one-on-one advising, doesn't stop. As far as the future is concerned, as I said, we are in the process of building what I think is a very resilient organization. Our priority happens to be the students. We want the students to be impactful, and obviously we have made our legacies in terms of experiential learning. So we will do everything possible to accommodate experiential learning in the virtual environment if we have to. The one request I have, there are lots and lots of questions that are coming at us, and we are working very hard in terms of answering these questions. But given that the world is changing so fast, I request your patience. We promise to respond to you as soon as we get we devise the right plans and get the right kind of information. Once again, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the community. Thank you to the admitted parents. I want to congratulate your students and you for having provided that supportive environment at home so that they could come to an exclusive and a premium university like Northeastern. Thank you again. And I'll meet you and I'll answer your questions during the question and answer session. It is my job right now to introduce Rick LeBlanc. As Brittany said, Rick is a parent, a D'Amore-McKim parent. Rick is also the CEO of a very well-established company. But Rick also serves on the Dean's Executive Council and always provides wise counsel and sage support. So Rick, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. First and foremost, I hope that everyone online today, along with your family and network of friends, are safe and healthy. And anyone that is fighting the virus, or your network of family and friends, if they are fighting the virus, that they have a speedy and a full recovery. Thanks very much for dialing in today. Looks like we've got a great turnout. Raj and Brittany and I are really looking forward to providing some insight to the extensive planning and then the contingency planning that has been going on here at D'Amore-McKim. As Raj and Brittany mentioned, just by way of background, I did receive my MBA from Northeastern back in 1990, and I've had the tremendous opportunity over the last 4 years to serve on the Dean's Executive Council, which is the board for the D'Amore-McKim Business School. And as Brittany pointed out, most importantly, I am a parent along with my wife, Anna, of a first-year NUN student, Jack, who spent his first semester over in London. I'm very happy to share his experiences from a parent's perspective for any of the parents of accepted students into the NUN program. But if I could summarize his experience now, it was absolutely incredible. And if I had to use one word, it was really transformational for Jack. It was just tremendous. So as a result of this involvement with the school, I have the good opportunity to be pretty current with the tremendous and extensive actions and plans that are being taken at D'Amore-McKim and the university as a whole as the school manages through this COVID-19 era that we're all working through. Therefore, I'm really pleased to share my thoughts and my perspectives and my observations of what's going on and the impact that is going to have on our students, our kids, the quality of their education that they have been getting, that they will continue to get at Northeastern, and just as importantly, the quality of college life at Northeastern University. I want to pick up on Raj's point because I've heard it time and time again with my involvement with what's been going on over the last couple of months, and I can assure you with confidence because I've heard it. Health and safety of the students, of the kids, along with the faculty and the staff is the #1 priority. So there are a lot of moving parts with what's going on, but I am quite certain, and I can pass along my confidence, that that is #1 always with every plan and every decision that is being made. And there's an incredibly intelligent team that is working at D'Amore-McKim. They are razor focused and proactive and staying ahead of this really devastating virus with respect to plans and contingency plans and actions. And I know Raj mentioned it, but it's really pretty incredible that Northeastern is actually one of the models that Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci and the federal plans in terms of dealing with this virus, though that data coming out of this institution is what they are making decisions on. That's pretty incredible. In fact, that's very incredible. And then take that back to what's happening for us, is that data is part of the decision making that this team, this incredible team, is using to develop their plans and their contingency plans. And I have to say, from one person's perspective, I hope you all share this, the communication to all of the stakeholders during this process has been really incredible. It's been clear, it's been transparent, and it's been regular and often. And for me, I've really appreciated it. There are many questions and issues that are still not really fully understood or known with respect to the virus and the economy, and certainly with respect to what's going on at D'Amore-McKim and the university as a whole. So the plans that are put in place, I know because I've seen them. There are plans and there are contingencies, and there are contingencies on top of the contingencies. This is a very dynamic environment that we're all living in. All of us day to day, our families, our business lives, our social lives, but that is going on with the decision making at Northeastern. It's dynamic, and I'm watching things change on a daily basis as events change around us. Just for clarity, as Raj mentioned, and the communication was put out, Summer 1 and Summer 2 have gone online. But I think it's really important to step back and think about that. It was only the 21st of January that the first case of the coronavirus hit the shores of the United States. It was only the 29th of February that the first death unfortunately occurred. It was only 5.5 weeks ago that the country declared a state of emergency with COVID-19. This all happened incredibly quick. So my hat goes off to the students and to the professors that did not have the advanced planning to be able to continue the classes and to get through this spring semester. And I, for one, looking at what my son has been done, I think they've done extraordinary. Each and every one of the professors and all the students that adapted extremely quickly. But I want to come back to the point that Raj made, is online learning is very much part of Northeastern University. Again, the MBA program was one of the first in the United States to roll that out. So those practices and those techniques, I know, are being incorporated with each of these professors in each one of these classes as we move into summer 1 and we move into summer 2. So I'm quite certain we got through the finish line, or the students and the professors got through the finish line, and they got through extremely well. But I'm very confident with what's going on that summer 1 is going to be even more engaging, and summer 2 on top of that. And as we work our way through the summer and we are moving into the fall semester, we certainly all hope that we're back to normal, or at least what will be the new norm. And I know that, as Raj pointed out, that there are all kinds of plans that are in place from a health and safety perspective that will be rolled out if we are able to move into face-to-face as we move into the fall semester. If, on the other hand, the virus is not fully contained and decisions are made either at the regulatory level or at the university level, or we have to go remote, I prefer to use not online but virtual. I believe it really is going to grow from where we're at today to be a truly impactful and engaging and a rewarding experience for all that are involved. So these plans and these contingency plans are dynamic, they're very detailed, they're well thought out, and they're really going to be based on where the virus takes us. And just a few additional considerations pertaining to COVID-19 and then back to D'Amore-McKim is I'm certain that everyone online today is extremely current and dialed into what's going on, with the exceptional, the risks and the uncertainty of the day. And I think we all know that until this virus is contained and we have this curve flattened, that we're going to deal with this state of uncertainty, and that's going to exist with risks pertaining to health and safety. It's going to exist with the economy, with Main Street and Wall Street, and it absolutely has already in the last couple of months impacted Northeastern University, and it's going to impact our students going forward. But I love the mindset that I'm hearing, and that mindset top to bottom is that this institution, and D'Amore-McKim specifically, is going to come out of this era stronger than when it all started. And I love hearing that. It's very, very refreshing, and I believe it. So just stepping back and considering the bigger picture, I'm hearing 3 high-level goals that are exceptionally clear and being acted upon really effectively. Again, health and safety for the students, the faculty, and the staff is number 1. I know that will not be jeopardized. The quality of the education is number 2, and whether it's online, virtual, or face-to-face, the goal will be to build on the great education that this institution already is providing our students or prospective students. And then in addition to that, kids go to college to learn, but they also go for the full college experience. And I know that's front and center with the planning that's taking place, whether it's online or it is face-to-face, whether it be with clubs, social activities, but that's all part, as we know, of the college experience. And I really think that Northeastern and D'Amore-McKim have enormous advantages to accomplish and really exceed on these goals. Innovation and entrepreneurship, as Raj provides the leadership with and is instilled in this institution, it's part of the fabric of who we are. That innovation and entrepreneurship is very much going to be the traits and the drivers that are going to manage and provide the insight to take this university through the COVID-19 era. Many of the Northeastern University programs already we're moving towards what we will likely find is the new norm. So this institution and D'Amore-McKim is ahead of the curve. COVID-19 is really getting this team to step back and say, how are we going to leverage off of and accelerate what we've already been doing and advance those initiatives that were already on already part of the university or in the planning stages and move those forward more effectively and quickly. So there's no question we're living in an environment with significant challenges today. I think that's real. And it's here with us for the hopefully just the short term, but the university really is treating this and D'Amore-McKim as an opportunity to leverage off of these strengths of the past and raise the bar even higher. So finally, change is also very much part of the culture of D'Amore-McKim and Northeastern University. If you were to step back, for those of you who either did the research or had the opportunity to know this university just a decade ago, and where it's come from over the last 5 to 10 years, it was always an extraordinary university. But it is truly a world-class, globally recognized institution right now. And that didn't just happen. That happened with the many, many changes along the way that helped them get to the place that they're at today. And that philosophy is very much instilled in the work that's going on right now to manage this institution, D'Amore-McKim, through this environment. So last point for me, and then I'll pass things back to you, Brittany, is that I have an immense amount of trust and confidence in the actions that are being taken and where this university and D'Amore-McKim are heading and where we're going to end up. So thanks very much. And Brittany, I'll turn things back over to you.
Thank you, Rick, so much. We will get started on our questions. Raj, we are getting lots of questions about the co-op program. Can you speak a bit about the status of our students who are currently on co-op and conversations you've had with our corporate partners about the co-op program moving forward?
Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. For the admitted parents, let me give you a very brief overview of what the co-op program is. Northeastern, as I said, has a strong legacy of experiential learning. And so typically our students have a 6-month stint, usually a 6-month stint in the second semester of their second year. And that 6-month stint is what we refer to as a co-op. D'Amore-McKim has over 700 partners around the world. Our co-ops are not only relegated to the New England area, it could be anywhere in the US or anywhere in the world. D'Amore-McKim is the largest college within Northeastern. While Northeastern does about 11,000 co-op placements a year, D'Amore-McKim does about 2,500 a year. Co-op usually goes in 2 cycles, the January through June or the July through December. This is basically what it is. And it's been very advantageous for us because 67% of our students approximately get a job placement with a co-op employer, and a significant majority of them have accepted. So that's the pipeline. So going back to Brittany's question, yes, there has been disruptions as far as the co-op is concerned at this point in time in the January through June cycle. But one of the things that you will be gratified to hear is close to about 80% of our students are still in their co-op assignments. They are working remotely, and therefore that is always fantastic given the upending that has happened in the entire economy when 24 million people have lost their jobs. So that is the good news. We are constantly talking to the corporate partners about the next co-op cycle, which starts in July. While some of them are going to pause or delay the co-op, if you will, a significant majority are expressing optimism to us that they will continue with the co-op program either at the numbers that they had thought about or slightly lower, if you will. And a significant portion of the companies that we are talking to, corporate companies, especially companies that are in the digital transformation space, etc., seem to imply that the prospects for them are incredible. So that's what we are seeing. We are cautiously optimistic. Of course, these are trying times, and the number of placements, etc., are probably going to be lower this year compared to last year at the same time. But the future looks cautiously optimistic. One thing that I want to address to a lot of parents very quickly is that people always ask me, are 2 co-ops required, 3 co-ops required, etc.? No, it is not. It is encouraged. And as long as students have some sort of experiential learning requirement, they can graduate. But this mandatory requirement to have 2 co-ops or 3 co-ops is actually not a requirement for graduating out of Northeastern. We strongly recommend it because it has positive advantages, but it's not required. One last thing, even when people do 2 co-ops, they can still graduate within the 4 years if they have planned appropriately, because we have very active summer sessions.
Raj, could I just follow
Sure.
up to that? That's incredible that 80% of the students are still actively working with the employers. Have you been able to get any feedback to how those experiences have been, particularly in light of the fact that there could be the possibility in the future that some of those co-ops may go virtual?
Yes, we are tracking this, Rick. Happy to provide specific information. So people, one of the things I want to highlight is close to 80% are still there. About 10% of them could not continue the co-ops, fundamentally because of security issues. So if you have certain government regulations, etc., where the data cannot go out of the campus, etc., remote could not work. And less than 10% of our employers have actually walked away because of economic prospects, etc. So to kind of put this in perspective, what we are finding out, again, we have not done a systematic survey yet. That will come in a month, Rick. But to answer your question, what we are finding out is a global professional services company, one of the top executives told me about a week ago that the productivity they feel has gone up actually from our co-op students. And again, I can only speculate the reasons, etc. But I think these students that are coming to us are digital natives. They are not digital immigrants like myself. I don't speak for you, Rick. You're too young. So, but since they are digital natives, etc., they have taken like fish to water, and they have been able to do the kind of work. We frequently talk to our co-op employers, asking them, are they happy? I would say there is actually no difference between the past semester and this semester, which means these students are doing extraordinarily well. So with that limited evidence, I'm going to say the people who are working remotely are doing extremely well. I'll tell you 2 heartwarming stories and then stop. There was one student who went to California, who lives in California, and the company basically gave him a laptop and all the associated equipment. And also told him, if you have bandwidth problems at home, just call us, we'll make sure you'll work. The other example, which really is very heartwarming, is a local company in Boston, a global company, of course, that basically said, because we had to close the dorms for public health reasons and to make sure that the dorms were available for people who are in the front lines of COVID, be it nurses or police officers or doctors. And the co-op employer said to the student, why don't you rent an apartment if you want? We'll pay for that apartment. And by the way, till you find that apartment, we'll be more than happy to house you in the house of our managing director and his wife. So there are heartwarming stories that I always say this, I'm humbled, inspired by the reactions of our D'Amore-McKim community. So.
Thank you, Raj. Some of our current students had some difficulty signing up for classes. Will more classes be added to fall semester offerings?
Absolutely, that is something that we are working on right now. One thing that I want to tell the parents is all the past models that we have had are unable to predict what is going to happen in the future. So we based a lot of these courses in the fall semester, etc., based on past models. And we are realizing that they may be inadequate, and we are working towards it. And I assure you that we are going to increase the number of classes, number of sections, and we will ensure that these students get registered for the fall semester and they have the appropriate courses.
Great, thank you. Is Northeastern considering pushing back beginning of school to January, or will there be academic continuity?
We are focused on academic continuity right now. We are planning that classes will meet in the fall semester. Of course, again, to reiterate, these are ultimately decisions made at the highest level in conjunction with local health officials and government, etc. But given the fact that we are tracking the virus and we have models internally that are basically cautiously optimistic for a fall start. So at this point in time, we are prepared for a fall start on the physical campus. But again, we have contingencies in place if we have to go virtual. But even if we do have fall class here on campus, and I really hope we do, but we are going to follow the appropriate social distancing guidelines, not only in the classroom, but also in terms of accommodations and so on. So our fervent hope is we'll see you physically here in fall.
Great, thank you. I want to take the time to answer some quick questions that people seem to be having that I can go through fairly fast. It is correct to assume that if your student is not on campus, that you will not be paying for housing or for food. And students are guaranteed 4 years of housing, as well as for graduate school. If a student is working in the summer in Boston, they're able to stay in their dorms. And with that, I will then ask Rick to talk a little bit about, we've seen some parents asking what they can be doing right now to ensure that their students feel cared for in this moment.
Well, recognizing this is one parent's perspective, but just some things that we're doing on the home front is that we've seen that has some real value is for sure facilitating and making sure that the kids are staying connected with their friends and fellow students. There are many clubs that Northeastern University and D'Amore-McKim offer. To stay connected with the clubs is incredibly important. To stay connected with the professors and to do this in a real-time virtual environment with Zoom or FaceTime really certainly adds to the quality of those that kind of communication. We're certainly thinking about encouraging, if from a health and safety perspective, it's okay, encouraging work and perhaps some service if there's some downtime. And there's also been some discussion around our household with some of the kids that Jack has been involved in that I think is pretty productive. Is if they are allowed to go back to the campus at some time in the summer, can kids come in from other states and study together? Again, if it's safe, and if that's the case, can they travel to one of their friends' house and study in groups? And be together and be able to work together even if it's online, and then have the benefit of being together socially. So those were just some ideas that we've been thinking about and talking about with other parents. So hopefully those are helpful.
Thanks, Rick. Raj, we're getting some questions about accelerated master's programs. Can you talk a little bit about +1 opportunities?
Perfect. And so one of the questions that admitted parents always ask me is the Northeastern degree a 5-year degree? And I say, no, it's a 4-year degree. And I would urge our students to do it in 4 years. If you do 2 co-ops, You can still finish it in 4 years if there is proper academic planning. And a lot of students come to us and say, I want to do the third co-op because this is what I want to do. And therefore, I want to experience this particular industry vertical or this particular global location, etc. And it is usually their choice. I would say about close to half of our students finish in 4 years, and half of our students take the third co-op. So my suggestion is that if you want to do the third co-op, then graduate with a master's degree. When you go into the 5th year, finish the 5th year by taking advanced graduate courses and go out with a master's degree. And that is what Brittany here referred to as the +1 program, 4+1. And the way it works is we ask the students to do graduate level work in their final year, in their 4th year, some graduate level courses. And so continue with the graduate level courses in the 5th year, do a co-op, and then graduate with a +1 master's program. And there are lots of D'Amore-McKim master's degrees that are available as a +1 option. And that is always a good option for the students because it carries a wage premium as well.
Thank you. Parents are wondering what they can encourage their students to do this summer to maintain academically engaged and prepare for their upcoming co-ops and classroom studies.
Okay, I'm going to actually defer this question to Rick because I have some ideas, but as for Rick, as a parent, he's probably advising Jack on these kinds of things. So it would be far more credible for Rick to advise the parents. Rick, can you take this question?
Be happy to. And I think we have some challenges as parents because the reality is our kids have been home after having been away at college and being independent. And now they're home living with us, and they're going to be living with us likely for an extended period of time. So I think to try and encourage that discipline, that there's the balance between having fun and spending time with your friends and assuring that academics stays at the top of the list. In our house, we try and have academics be first and your school and your education be first. And all those social activities and the friendships are certainly very, very important, and they fall right behind. So I think it's going to be a steeper hill to climb for us over this period of time because they have been home for so long and they're used to the independence. So I think putting structure into the weeks and the months and encouraging, in our house, we no longer can tell. So it's about establishing goals and encouraging and maybe developing incentives to assure that academics stays front and center for a period of time. So that's kind of things that we've been talking about.
Great, Raj, do you want to share any of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo Rick's points. I think structure is going to be important. And there are lots of faculty members who have put up their academic articles and so on online. So students, if they are going to take certain fall classes, they can actually start preparing for it in the summer. Get to know the faculty and their area of work by reading the academic articles. Brittany, you are actually a part of our communication team. We produce a lot of content, and students can actually, take a look at this content, and it may not be directly relevant to their classes, etc., but obviously it makes them well-rounded, because our focus has not just been business, but how business becomes the connective tissue across the university. But again, I completely echo Rick's sentiments that it's fundamentally the structure and telling the students that academics are your #1 priority and keep them pushing towards their potential.
Absolutely. I think now that more than ever, technology is increasingly leading our lives. What is the business school doing to address this through their curriculum?
Fantastic question. I would say this is a question that I got a year ago in a town hall. One of the parents asked me, with all these breakthrough technologies coming in, people are talking about robots. Are we going to robotize humanity? And my answer then and my answer today, as we are battling the COVID crisis, is actually the same. And the answer is, I personally believe human-centered skills are going to become extraordinarily important. We do have breakthrough technologies like artificial intelligence and robotics and blockchain pervading all aspects of business. But at the end of the day, it is fundamentally going to be the human-centered insights or human in the loop, if you will, that matters. But with that overarching framework, I'm going to make a second point, which is when you think about the future, what are the literacies that students need? If you are a business student, you absolutely have to have technology-centered literacies. You need to understand the latest technologies. You need to understand how people can use these kinds of technologies, etc. The second literacy I personally think is going to become important are what I call as data literacies. Everybody has got to understand analytics. It doesn't matter whether you're a finance person, an accounting person, or a marketing person. A basic understanding of analytics is going to be fairly critical as we move forward into the future. But the worry that I have is if you are only focused on technology literacy, then I think we'll get into problems of what I call as technology solutionism. You think technology can solve all problems, and we know it is not true. If you're only about data without understanding underlying the data are people and processes, I think we develop data inhumanism, So being humanistic with data is also important. And that is why I started off with the preamble. You need data, you need technology, and then you need to cross map it with human-centered skills, if you will. So what has D'Amore-McKim done? Every one of our programs is imbued with this humanics philosophy, technology, data, and human-centered. At the undergraduate level, we have right now 10 combined majors, not dual majors, combined majors, which effectively means we took the undergraduate curriculum, divided it into two, gave it to two different colleges, asked them to integrate business and computer science, business and data science, business and design, psychology and marketing, finance and math. You get the picture. We have done that at the MBA level as well. So we want our students not only to be proficient in technology and data, but we also want them to be human-centered so that they become impactful leaders from day one, so that they can make a difference right away.
And Raj, just to follow up to that, because that's one of the many impressive aspects of D'Amore-McKim. But these programs and initiatives that you're talking about, what I think is tremendous is these are not new. These were already programs and initiatives that were very much part of D'Amore-McKim. And I see what's happening is that because of COVID-19, you and the team are accelerating those programs and initiatives. And I think we're going to find that the kids are ultimately going to advance by the time they're back to school in the fall as a result of that.
That is absolutely correct. And I have to compliment you, Rick, and the DEC and the Board of Visitors, because one of the things that is not known to parents is what does a board like DEC, Dean's Executive Council, that you are a part of, and the Board of Visitors, what do? They actually are our eyes and ears. They actually see what is happening in the market. They come back to us and they push us to become better in terms of our curriculum and our engagement, etc. And that's basically why when you think about our curriculum is always at the cutting edge, fundamentally because we have incredible market intelligence from our board members and our stakeholders, i.e. the corporate partners. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. We're having some questions from NUN parents about what the transition back to campus is like for students. How do they integrate after being abroad for their first semester?
I'm actually going to let Rick answer this question because Jack finished his first semester in London, came back and integrated himself with the D'Amore-McKim community here in Boston. So Rick, can you take that question?
I'd be happy to, and if I could, I'm going to broaden the answer just a tad bit. First of all, our kids, when they are part of the NUN program, priority number one is academics. And there is no question when Jack was over in London, the box was ticked on the academics. And when we send our high school seniors off, there is a whole level of independence, regardless of where our kids go to school. But I have to say, when Jack got on a plane in the middle of August and flew across the Atlantic over to London, it was a whole additional dimension to his lifestyle and being on his own and being independent, living in a foreign country, learning a new culture, the opportunities over there to experience not just the British culture, but he and his friends traveled to 8 different countries. And they absolutely learned what they needed to learn from an academic perspective, but what they learned with respect to life skills and in the intangible aspects of it, I can't speak enough about it. And when he came back, what I really saw firsthand, and had heard some about this from different experiences, but I saw it firsthand, is that when Jack came back, he was with 300 other kids over in London, and it was like they were part of a fraternity. They all knew each other. They all had an immensely close friendship. I'm not suggesting that Jack was friends with with 299 of them, that they were best friends, but he had a relationship with most every kid over there. So when he came back to campus, it was almost like there was a fraternity, and it wasn't limited to the 300 kids that came back from London. If you were part of NUN and you were part of one of the other 7 locations that the NUN kids went to, you were part of that fraternity. And it wasn't just the incoming first-year students. If you were part of NUN, the second and the third and the fourth-year students that were part of it were all part of this group. So you had this instant connection that was tremendous. And as a result of that, I watched Jack make endless number of additional connections and friendships in a short period of time. And what I saw over there, by way of background, relative to pre-COVID-19, but also post-COVID-19, is there was just the right amount of oversight and independence by the staff that was on the ground over there. They were there when they were needed to be there, but they also knew when to let the kids have their autonomy and their independence. So I really would recommend this program to anyone that's considering it. It was quite tremendous for Jack.
Brittany, can I add something to what Rick said?
Yes, please do.
So very quickly, one of the things that I want to highlight to the parents is inculcating a global mindset. Cultural agility is important to D'Amore-McKim. Again, it comes from our DEC members and our BOV, Board of Visitors, pushing us. But one of the things that has happened for us is over the last 3 or 4 years, our corporate partners are telling us, can you give more and more students who have global experiences, because we find them to be different. And so 60% of our students, D'Amore-McKim students, have some sort of global experience, be it NUN, which is tremendous. Can you imagine living for 6 months in a foreign country and learning to adapt and stuff like that? It could be study abroad. It could be what we call as dialogue of civilization, a specialized 5-week program in a foreign country with a faculty member. So you can study the energy crisis in Bolivia or social entrepreneurship in South Africa and so on. So we try to provide a lot of global experiences in order to inculcate that global mindset, because that is what our corporate partners expect from us.
Thank you so much, Raj and Rick. We have just a few minutes remaining, so I want to give you both the chance to offer any closing thoughts. And I'd like to ensure everyone who's given questions in the chat, if we were unable to get to your question during this call, we will be following up by email. If you did not include your email contact information, please add it to your chat so that we are able to connect with you individually.
Rick, do you want to go first?
Sure, Raj. Well, first of all, thanks to all who've taken the time to dial in today. For those of you that are already parents of the D'Amore-McKim school, hopefully you've seen this team in action before. And for those that are considering it, I highly recommend that you and your student and your child give it a really hard look. I want to actually come back to the goals that I've seen this team working on. Health and safety is absolutely front and center. No matter what happens with respect to the virus, here within D'Amore-McKim and the university as a whole, there's no question health and safety is going to be the #1 driving criteria with all decisions that are made going forward. The quality of the education that it started with a goal, and I think we've covered some of those topics. The objective isn't to just end up where we started. This truly is an opportunity to even build on what this university and what this business school already provides to our students, to build on that and make it even stronger and come out of this whole era as an even stronger institution, which just benefits the kids. And I also know how important the team within Northeastern and the D'Amore-McKim is working to assure that college experience that is oh so important, that the kids aren't getting to experience today, or at least a very small portion of it, that's going to come back, and it's going to come back even better than it was before. So thanks very much again for everyone signing in. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. I want to echo your sentiments. Thank both our current parents and our admitted parents for taking the time to be here. And I want to reiterate our vision. Our vision is to create the right kind of knowledge and to develop impactful leaders that can lead in this world of digital convergence that we are seeing, and we are only going to accelerate our efforts. I want to thank our faculty, our wonderful staff, and of course for all their hard work, and our students. One happy news that I wanted to share at this point in time is that this year, in 2020, D'Amore-McKim was named as one of the 10 schools to watch for by Ports and Quants, which is a very influential website when it comes to business education. So to the current parents and to the admitted parents, I want to tell you that your children, our students, are your most precious assets, and we take the responsibility of educating them very seriously. And it's an honor actually to be overseeing a school that educates your students. So to the current parents that have a lot of questions about the fall semester and how it is going to pan out, etc., please keep your questions coming. I don't profess to know all the answers at this point in time, but rest assured we are working very hard in order to create the right kind of experience that Rick was talking about. It's just not curricular, but it was also the co-curricular experiences that make our students great. To the admitted parents, thank you again. Congratulations on your student getting admitted to Northeastern. It's a significant accomplishment. And I want to thank you for considering Northeastern as an educational destination. Please let us know if we can answer any questions for you so that you can make an informed decision. And I look forward to welcoming back our current parents and welcoming the admitted parents in fall when you come to the on-campus orientation. At this point in time, I want to wish you all the very best and good health as we navigate these trying times. And thank you for being such wonderful, wonderful ambassadors of the D'Amore-McKim community. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you all so much for your time today.